good morning, Stocktwits crew. Happy FAFO Friday. I hope everybody's had an amazing week so far. This market is looking really good this week. I think it's been a fun week, Michael. Pretty clean price action.
Mhm.
Obviously, we had three ripping days, which we haven't really seen since the tariff talk has come around. But that took a back seat, and big tech delivered this week. So, yeah, interested how you're thinking about the week so far. I think it was a great week to capitalize. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I obviously bull markets are way more fun. The parties are way more fun. So, obviously we're not in a bull market yet, but I'll certainly take it because it's been it's been a bit of a downer, I guess, to be in the market for a while and just telling everyone to calm down and right, don't jump. And now we're switching back, right? We're coming back at least for now. Let's see if they mess some things up, but for now, as long as we don't get any kind of tweet, things are looking good out there.
Yeah, looking good. We'll see how the Friday goes to wrap up the week. We had some big earnings kicking back off with the earnings season this week. Alphabet beating expectations. We had Tesla riding post earnings optimism, which don't know how long that lasts. We'll see because we know that was just a pop because Mr. Elon talking about coming back to Tesla a little bit more. The S&P and Nasdaq, Russell 2000 all hit levels we haven't seen since last summer. Nasdaq and ES futures are down a little bit here in the pre-market so far. But we'll see what happens going into the open. I can't be too optimistic on the market here because, I mean, we've ran all week and done exactly what I wanted to. A little bit of a tell for me. I don't know about you, Michael, but um, opening up Monday morning and selling off was a big tell for me on how this entire week was going to go, especially then seeing Tuesday be strong. Because that's
Hmm.
not really what we see in a bear market, right? What we generally see or what we have been seeing in the bear market has been, strong start to the week and sell off the rest of the week. And so we didn't really see that. And that changed my mind on things a lot. And then we saw Tuesday be strong and close over the highs. And I was very bullish from there. But do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's I was gonna say the same thing, right? As someone who's been right pounding the table for a long time, that this is going to be a buy the dip, sell the rip market for the foreseeable future. This is exactly what we did this week, right? Over at my website. It was had a bunch of names to buy in a dip. We got a dip Monday and then kind of ripped ever since. I guess that's why I'm in such a good mood. But Friday will be interesting. Fridays are always interesting because you get some kind of sentiment about do people want to hold during the weekend, right? Or, do you see some selling into the close as people want to kind of take their profits they made for the week, or do we hold strong and there's not a lot of selling going in? That combined with just the massively important technical level we are here on the markets make this day a very interesting one for me to watch. The close anyway to see where we are then.
Yeah, I'm with you. The close is gonna be interesting, especially for me. Like just having the week we had, I expect a little bit of profit taking, especially like
Hmm.
if we don't see it earlier in the day, into the end of the day. So I'll be ready for a little bit of a short towards the end of the day. But you're right. It might be one of those things where people are very confident and want to hold into the weekend, and we close at highs again, right? And there's no setup for that. So
But the
um,
thrust,
I'm all for
you
the
didn't? Did you not
thrust.
hear about the thrust?
Tell us
Have
about
you-
the thrust, Michael.
All right, I'll do a little recap on the thrust here quickly. Because again, if you're, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just the only guy out there that my entire Twitter feed was about this breath thrust the entire night. So much that it was initially about this, and then it was about people memeing about this. Then it was people memeing about this, and it's like get me off the internet, right? But there is the Zweig Breadth Thrust, and the basic idea behind this is market breadth is just looking under the hood, right? So we all look at the S&P 500. That's fine. The idea is that when you're looking at market breadth, you're looking at the components underneath, right? The S&P 500 is just a basket of 500 stocks out there. So maybe there is some clues to be taken by looking again under the hood, and that's what this is. So the indicator here, kind of under the chart, is just that. So it's showing a 10-day moving average on the advanced decliners. So how many stocks are up versus how many stocks are down, and then you just put a moving average on that to smooth out the data. And what Zwag discovered is that if you have a move under 40 or zero point 0.4, which just means that most stocks are pushing down on a 10-day moving average, most stocks are tanking, and then that quickly reverses so that most stocks are pushing up above 0.61, then in most cases you're up quite a bit, days and weeks and months later. So it's been a pretty significant kind of turning point of the market. So these green lines right here, I've just highlighted. These are when they've happened just in the recent past from 2012 till now. You can see these are the times that you could potentially be saying, okay, we could be coming out of a bear market, so it might be time to look to get involved. And again, we got one here yesterday and the day before. So again, we in this area, pretty much every stock in the world was selling off. That quickly reversed, again, using the 10-day moving average above here. So the idea is, and I know this will be incredibly hard to read, we are having a super breadth thrust, not a normal one. It's a super thrust going on, and that's only happened a handful of times in history. Again, I know you guys probably can't see the numbers, but 1 year later, 100% of the time, we are up 20% or more from the point that we got this super thrust. So essentially, it just means the market has, or the individual stocks have been pushing down for a long period of time, and then you get this push up that is sustained enough that it triggers that 10-day moving average. And when that happens, more times than not, you're nearing the end or at the end of whatever bear market you're in. But right, 550, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a lot in the market, right? 550 is a huge level. So that's one of those things that, yes, this thing exists. I had to study it for my CMT, but we want to see price action confirmed, just like with any indicator, right? You want to use your indicator, and then you want to watch price action secured. So that's the thrust. If everyone else was hearing about the thrust, that's what it is. So that's why everyone's so excited. Is it's the first like sign of hope that the market could
I love it.
finally be bottoming here.
I love it. Yeah, and we're at a big spot, so I like that you're matching up, obviously, technicals with it too, because we're at a spot kind of where the trend will change if we really get over that. You know what I mean? Because that's where
Yeah.
the kind of confirmation for the continuation of the downtrend was. So, yeah, I'd love to see that. Just to recap some of the earnings we had over the week, Google came out with an EPS of 281 versus estimates of 2.01. Revenue was 90.23 billion versus estimates of 89 billion. YouTube Plus Google One subscription surged past 270 million. Gemini AI featured in summaries for 1.5 billion users per month. We had cloud revenue, 12.26 billion, up 28% year over year, just shy of the targets they had. So looking good for Google. Stock pop 5% after hours. Analysts now expect 8.08 EPS and a $368.5 billion revenue. So interesting that we got INTC as well, reported a 19-cent share loss. Revenue beat at 11.67 billion, but down year over year. You got any thoughts on some of these earnings, Michael, that we
Poor
had over the week?
Intel. Well,
Poor
I think
Intel.
a lot of this confirms like some things that we just know that generally speaking, earnings will follow trends. So if your stock is very strong, there's a better chance that you're going to get a gap up. You're going to get movement with earnings because if your stock's strong, it means that there's a lot of nerds out there that do all this fundamental analysis and they've been buying your stock. And if your stock, unfortunately, is Intel, then it makes more sense that you're going to get more gap downs because again, they're very disappointing. But for Intel, it's got to just get to the point. I've been saying this for a while, and it hasn't moved since I've been saying it. It's not up or down, but like it's just such a like if everyone's looking around right now, I'm a Mac nerd, but most people have computers with Intel chips in them. So is it really going under, or at some point are we going to just be kicking ourselves because we looked back and Intel was so beaten up that this was just such an insane screaming buy. You're talking what 4x if it gets back to highs, four times your money right now. Is that I don't know. There's just sometimes with big companies, the technician to me like goes to sleep, and I just want to like full port into these just a chunk of my portfolio, and just not look at it for like 5 years. And we're either back at highs or Intel's bankrupt. But I just can't imagine that world.
No, I get that. I wouldn't imagine it either. You hear all the negativity every time I hear something about Intel, whether it's on Spaces or a live stream. It's always negative, but I mean they're still here, right? We still have a lot of those chips in our computers, so I'm with
Well,
you
and
there.
that
I don't see things going under, but it's not doing good right now.
reminds me of China, right? Because I remember
Yeah.
the word China and uninvestable was just synonymous when it was back down here, and then you got a double off the lows so far. So it's one of those. If all of the news, I think Tesla is another example, kind of recently, right? All of the news is negative. Like at this point, this is where right everyone was burning and keying Teslas and all of that. If every bit of news out there is negative, there just comes a point in most stocks where you don't have to do good. You just have to stop continuing to suck more.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're fine. If you just suck a little less, then you get a pop. So I don't know. For me, if we
Agreed.
got another kind of breakdown and a good breakdown here in Intel and I could get it in, 15-ish, I think I would probably just take like 10% of my portfolio or something and just full port it in and see, just keep it in. I have two
Forget
brokerage
about it.
accounts. I've got my trading brokerage account, which I'm obviously looking at every day, and then I've got my brokerage account for stuff like this. That's like another broker that's on a phone somewhere. Like I don't look at it. So I've got some money set aside for just these moments where I'm like, I just want to buy something and not look at it for 5 years.
Hey, there's a lot of those plays that end up doing good, especially when you're buying a solid company and you
Yeah.
see something that maybe somebody else doesn't. I'm always trying to set myself up with those plays, so I'm with you. Um, let's see, housing market 2009 vibes are back. Apparently, we got existing home sales dropped 5.9% in March, so looking interesting there. Lowest annualized rate since 2009. Median price hit a March record of $403,700. And tariffs could add another $10,900 to the cost of a new home. So, you got any thoughts on that, Michael? On that data?
It's been kind of the last bastion of people's wealth, right? That hasn't been touched. We talk about the stocks being down, we talk about bonds being down, we talk about right everything. So TLT hasn't been helping out people who've owned bonds as a protection. Stocks are obviously again still down 10 to 15% off highs, and everyone's just kind of been. But the real estate market has just stayed up there and stayed strong. If that breaks, that actually really worries me because the whole wealth effect. There's some people who believe in it, some people don't. The idea that you'll continue the people out there will continue to spend money as long as they still feel wealthy. Like it's one of those. I have a couple $100,000 of equity in my house. It's like it doesn't increase. I can't spend it, obviously, but it just makes you feel like everything's gonna kind of be okay. Worst case scenario, I sell my house. I got a couple hundred grand. I can be fine. If that starts to go away, I wonder just more of like a vibes thing than anything.
Yeah,
Your
because
stock market's
people are
down.
gonna feel like they're not as wealthy, like you're saying, because their house is going down in value.
Yeah, and yeah, your stock market's down, your bond
Yeah,
market's down, and now your house is worth less, and so you're kind of looking at your net worth, and you're saying, well, I'm worth $250,000 less than I was this time last year. That I think that kind of changes spending habits, and that's where the kind of self-made recessions can come from. If people stop spending, then right, they don't have the capital in order to do that. So yeah, and then right, retail sales dip, and all the stuff that we know is if people stop spending.
100%. If the chat has any tickers they want us to go through, feel free to throw them in the chat. We will go through those. But Michael, if you want to bring up your heat map and kind of go
Yeah,
through
let's
some
take a look
tickers,
what's
feel
going,
free.
especially on the open.
Yeah,
It's pre-market change, right? A lot of again the Christmas tree kind of look. A lot of stuff not doing anything, but when you see Apple down and Google up and Meta down and J.P. Morgan up and right Gilead down and ABBV up, it just shows that we're a little bit mixed here. So again, what I'm looking for on the SPY, obviously the simple technical analysis on the SPY is we have these two prior lows. Then we had that Liberation Day, everything tanked. But on top of that, we have this right here, which is the anchored VWAP from all-time high. We pulled into it on, spent 3 days. It was a brick wall. I remember trading on this day right here. And then we kind of completely fell apart from it. So we have that there as well. So that's a huge area. So in a perfect world, right, if I could design the market, we would actually just go sideways here for a couple days as we kind of chew through that overhead supply, and then break. It's one of those, if you go too fast into a support or resistance zone and just smash through it, sometimes that's short lived. Where it's, if you give the market time to digest these highs and then it goes through, that seems a little bit more interesting to me. So that's something that I'm going to certainly keep a close eye on. So we need to see that break at some point, or this whole breadth thrust thing I'm just gonna completely ignore. So for me, it's 550 on the SP 500 is absolutely everything, and I don't care what pushes us there. It's just something needs to resolve higher, and above that, then we have a level to play against. So, again, if I was designing the market, kind of what I would want to see is a little bit of a sideways move, potentially break through it, and then we pull back and test it, and then we're kind of off. Then we have a lot of FOMO that was built up in through here, and that FOMO could propel us higher. And again, I've been saying it a lot that the way I think this resolves, unfortunately, is going to be over a weekend or at night or something. There's just going to be a
And
tweet out
nobody
that
can
says,
trade, right?
"Yeah, it's going to be like, oh yeah, we sorted it out, everything's fine now,"
Yep.
and we rip. Because if you look at it, we got to remember this is right here is where Trump flinched. Right, this is the bond market was starting to crash, and this is where he backed off on all of the tariffs and put the 90-day pause on and all that kind of stuff. And we're really not that much above it. Right? We came back here, and this is where there was more chats about deals coming through and all of that. So it seems like the White House is support right here. Every time the bond market gets too weak, that's, again, we talked about this I think last week when I was on, that the bond market is $1 quadrillion, or 1,000 times bigger than the equity markets. To be honest, I don't think Trump cares at all if Nike goes bankrupt. I don't think he'll lose a wink of sleep. But if the bond market crashes, there's no more lending to small businesses. There's no more, that liquidation, that liquidity that keeps the market going. It's just completely gone. So if that's going to be the case, then that's when you kind of grind your whole economy to a halt. So we need to see this. You can also watch it for you trading view nerds. TNX is the yield. So essentially, when the 10-year yield was up here, that's an insane move for the yield to get up, into the 4.5, 5% area. And you can see it's starting to come down a little bit now. As long as the yield comes down, I think we're gonna just not hear anything. I think he's okay as long as the yields in the under fours, I think, is kind of the goal. But I just thought it was hilarious. I don't know if you remember those conspiracy people when he was tanking the market, saying, "Oh, he's doing this to bring down the yield," and they just probably didn't have charts because
It
he
was
was
trying.
making the yield rip.
She tried, and then yeah, the yields started ripping, and yeah, it wasn't the case, right? So we need those to come down for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's everything. I think that's everything he's watching.
Yeah.
I don't think he gives a crap about Intel or Apple or any of these
Well, and I
companies.
don't even think he gives a crap about the general market when it's ripped straight up for 4 years. You know what I mean? He doesn't care about taking some gains away from that, I don't think. And that's where
Right,
people have been
the
so
equity
like, oh
side.
my gosh, my stocks are down. And it's like, well, yeah, they're down. I mean, we've ripped for 4 years straight. He's not worried
Yeah.
about a 20% decline, so
Yeah,
it's
so
interesting there.
if it was one of those things where the market was going down and then bonds were ripping, which means rates were going down as well. If equities were going down and the bonds were going down, I don't think we would have heard anything about
Yeah.
a pause or anything. I think it would have. So it's, you want to talk about, right, what's the tail wagging the dog? I think right now that's just this chart. So I have alerts set that if we're ever kind of in this area, I want to be really interested to buy stocks, because you're going to get a tweet from our good friend Walter Bloomberg, who I'm still waiting for someone to tell me that they've actually met that guy, because I don't think it's a human,
A
and it's
real
definitely
person.
not the
Yeah.
picture on there. Uh, but it's like he's been around too long to be an AI. I don't know what. Again, I'd love to meet the guy, but uh, yeah, we'll get a tweet as soon as this happens, right? Like when we were back down here on Monday, there was that tweet about that they were expecting to lower some tariffs on China or something like that, and then we had the kind of rip from there. So, as much as it's boring, as much as we don't want to trade it, I think we have to keep an eye on the bond market for going forward, is because it's the place where he's flinching. So
Yeah, something to keep an eye on.
I see
Chat's wondering
some.
about PLTR.
Yeah. So full disclosure, and again, I'll always say this: I am in a bunch of PLTR, simply because I have this rotational system that once a month it says sell your portfolio, buy these 5 stocks, and it does that once a month. Because again, I'm a systems trader, I'm a quant. So I have PLTR and Netflix as well, which I was happy to see hitting new all-time highs yesterday. But yeah, so I'm in it. Just again, full disclosure. This is the anchored view app from all-time high, same as what I did on the SP 500. I just anchored a view app from that all-time high, and it's looking great. Now, it's extended, right? You're talking 61% off of lows. So that's a big move. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of back and filling or some sort of consolidation here. But this one's just very strong. I think the news that did this was that they were actually going to get involved in like NATO and the EU for defense as well. So that diversifies them across the states and opens up a whole bunch more contracts. So it's looking great. And the fact that it's gapping up this morning when the market's gapping down is great as well. It just extended. I don't know if you see anything different.
No, I'm with you. Looks, catching the momentum. Little
Yeah.
extended, could pull back to fill, some gaps or whatever, get a little pullback. But I think it overall looks great back into those highs. We just had to take that dip and scare some people out before going back straight up. I remember when PLTR was just when everything was catching heat and it was just ripping straight up. I was worried because I knew a lot of people were gonna get bagged on this because at
Yeah.
some point they're gonna pull it back and try and create some scarcity with everybody, and that's exactly what happened. But looking great, I think it looks
Well, and
awesome.
that purple line right here, right? That's where the algo
Yeah,
got involved, and that's just like
of course.
an insane quantity of luck, right? I don't look at that and say, oh yeah, I'm a genius, but so that's why I'm still holding it, even though the system told me to get out, because it's like, when are you ever going to get that lucky where
Yeah.
you nail a low that well? It's going to happen like a handful of times in an entire career. So, yeah, I've still been holding a fair amount of that one just because, again, it looks great. Some other charts here people are looking at. Um, uh,
Got LRCS.
IRCS. Oh,
Yeah, or
IRCS.
might be IRCS. Yeah, GEV.
Iran consumer spending. Nope, definitely not that. Maybe it is L.
Well, maybe not.
Nope. All right, let's
Check
look
out
at the other one.
GEV.
Yeah, GEV. Is this one of those? This is a nuclear thing, isn't it?
I think you might be right.
I thought it was a nuclear thing.
Electric power industry. Its products and services generate, transfer, orchestrate, convert, and store electricity. Power, wind.
Yeah, nuclear hydro. So it's a utility,
Yep.
but I think it's one of those like utilities like what is it, VRT, that has gotten looped into AI, and it moves with AI even though it's a utility.
Hmm.
So it looks good, but again, these are one of those you got to keep an eye on the whole AI theme. You got to keep an eye on the whole AI play. It is not common for a utility chart to look like this, right? Utilities usually are safe havens. They're usually boring. Nothing really generally happens with them. So it does look good, right? Especially if it can get above kind of this 400 and get into the gap here. But I always just look at moves like this when I see something that is very, very thematic. And I think people are expecting, kind of another lag like that. And I just don't think we're there in the AI area anymore. I think that kind of ship sailed. So when I look at something choppy like this, it just makes me kind of go, let me find something else that's a
Yeah,
little bit more interesting.
it's just slow. I mean, when I bump up to a weekly and a monthly, it definitely looks good, but it's just so slow. Not a name I could get familiar with. I just until we
Yeah.
get some real momentum, you know what I mean? But it's trying here. It's definitely tried to have a decent day from yesterday. But just overall, really ranging. I want to see some more aggression, whether it's to the downside or upside here.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And it just may never happen because it is a
Yeah.
utility, right? Same again, VRT, I think, is the other one that this was like the best performing S&P 500 stock last year, even though it's a utility. And it was the first time ever in history that a utility was the best performing S&P 500 stock. because again, utilities aren't supposed to do this. They're supposed to be incredibly boring. So it feels like a lot of these utilities that got grouped in with the whole AI thing, they had their massive spike and then they broke, and now I expect them to kind of act more like utilities. They've definitely been repriced. People are saying, okay, well, $10 a share is not right if VRT is going to be the thing that powers AI. And then they go, okay, well, $150 is also not right. So I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe around $100, and that
Somewhere
could
in the
just be where
middle.
it sits.
Yeah.
Now the benefit is if you are like a boomer, they pay dividends, right? So you're getting paid while you wait. So if you're not looking for something to have momentum right now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with buying one of these things and saying, hey, that it looks good. Now, it gapping up in the pre-market when the market's gapping down, again, to me that makes me think a little bit more safe haven. Right? People are again, it's acting more of a utility, which is something that should go up in theory when the market is going down, because people are moving their money into dividend playing, right? It's very, very common for large institutions, hedge funds, mutual funds, in terms of uncertainty, they just pull their money into utilities and like, I'm just going to sit here and collect a dividend for the next 6 months while you guys sort out whatever it is you're going to sort out, and then I'm going to transfer that money back out to some kind of themes after that. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there.
Yeah. It's a smart way to do things, honestly. You got any other
The
names we're looking at for the morning, Michael, that are on your radar to trade
I
today?
do. I've got a bunch. I always do.
Oh yeah.
Again, as a systems guy. So coin is interesting to me. Just if the market is going to fade. So I talked about how important this level is here. So I made a list of things that I could potentially fade if the market ends up fading. Coin being one of them, just because it's at a very key level. You can see here, I mean, it's a pretty significant kind of zone where support back here and then resistance back here. And then right, if we go back, you can see how important this kind of 200 whole number is. So watching this in the pre-market, pushing higher, and the resistance that it had there yesterday, got right to that kind of 204 and just bounced off. These are 30-minute candles, so a bunch of times yesterday. So if it ends up getting back under that 204, I think that'll be a potential day trade short. CSIQ, I may have already missed. That was already fading. And this Sphere company. This has just been a
Oh
complete
gosh.
dog. Even before the whole, right, when the whole market was ripping, this thing just sucked. And yeah, it's bouncing a little bit here after some positive news. Yeah, so it's upgraded by some dude. So it's gapping up a little bit, so I'm looking to maybe fade that gap as well. But that's a lot of what I'm doing today is just looking to potentially fade these moves lower. And then, of course, Google and Intel, just because they had earnings. Intel, I would love to fade maybe to the upside if we start, because, closing this gap here, if we start to dig in this area, again, it might be a day trade higher. But these are just, again, all systems that I have. That's why you can see these alerts come through, because I don't do anything until my system yells at me and tells me to take a trade.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. We're gonna
All
get
right.
that bell open. We got Lia joining us this morning as well. She's gonna
Oh,
share
cool.
some of her trades from the week and for today.
Good.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, because the SPY, we are just in the middle of, right, there's the pre-market high and there's the pre-market low, and we're just kind of right in the middle of that range. So it might be one of those days just to take a little bit of a break while the market digests, because yes, we rallied quite a bit off the from the lows of the pre-market, but yeah, we're right in the middle of the range. So
Yeah,
there's
that
the
bell.
open.
We'll see how this market wants to trade today. Wrap up the week. Oh, we got Lia.
Hey, how's it going?
There's Lia. How's it going, Lia?
Hi guys, good morning.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Oh,
Good. I was
doing
just
great.
closing some long trades from yesterday.
Oh, let's go. What were you long?
Oh,
What'd you have?
I had up APP. Let me share a
Okay.
screen.
App 11. Yeah, go ahead, share your screen.
Woohoo. I'm having good trading weeks, honestly,
It's
but
a good
I just
week for the market, huh? I mean, I feel like it's been
Yes.
yeah.
great, clean price action.
I'll
Last
take
week too,
this
I had a
anytime.
good week. Just the first 2 days, but you have to find those momentum days and just trade the hell out of it and then relax. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of my way. So yeah, so we had up and I closed it pre-market. I'm glad I did because it's already selling off. And then yesterday we had ASDS that we traded, and I didn't close, so I closed it literally flat because I don't like the 5500 on SPX as a resistance, quite frankly.
We were just talking about kind of that
Yeah.
area on
That's
SPY and
fine.
everything. Yeah,
It's
a
the
big,
gap.
it's a big spot.
Yeah, and also Nemo Namo was really overbought. So usually in bear markets, that means that we might stale. And I'm also following the gamma flow, the option flow and the gamma. We don't have really anything significant above 5,500. And it's kind of like a no man's land here. We've been here, like, what is it now? For almost a month in this
Yeah.
range. It's a huge range. You can trade it, but it's kind of like, okay, 4,800, 5,000 to 5,500 is kind of where you chop around. Probably till June. I mean, if you remember, I don't know if you observed the JPM collar, but when we had them structured for last quarter, the protective collar, we ended literally around the strike, the long put strike. So I'm kind of looking into it for June. We're going to probably chop here for a couple of months and then see what the summer brings.
I could be okay with that. I mean, Michael, that's kind of what you were wanting, huh? Right at this area, a little bit of choppiness.
Yeah,
bit of breakthrough, a little
again, on top
uncertainty.
of all of the analysis Leah has there, the anchored VWAP from all-time high I talked about is right there, and that has been every time we've bumped our head against that anchored VWAP from all-time highs, we've just rejected from it entirely. So, in a perfect world, again, when we have just this massive area of demand, I like to just have it chop around that zone for a while. Take some time, chew up that overhead supply, and give people time to feel confident to potentially buy in, and yeah, rip later in the summer. I think would be great, but yeah, it's just such a huge area. It's one of those everybody seems to be watching it. Like I've got the anchored VWAP, and I didn't even see that trend line, but people have got trend lines, and then like everyone's looking at it for a different reason. Um, and when you have that many traders looking at a level, you just get so much shenanigans around it that I think it's probably a good thing to take some time and to not react too much to the level, and then it can go through later.
Yeah, and like as you said, people just get worn out by those levels, and that's what the market does. The market effectively takes money from people. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they think it's just going to respect the level perfectly, right? And we all know that's not generally how it happens. They like to bring price above and wick people out, right? Stop everybody out. And yeah, they can make for hard trading around these big levels. But that's where we just got to stay patient and let the market tell us what it wants to do. But
plus the options, right?
yeah,
Theta will kill you. I was selling a lot of options yesterday again.
good.
Sorry, when I share the screen, I don't see my camera. I don't know why, but it is what it is, I guess. I was selling a lot of options around those levels yesterday, especially on some stocks like Mara. Whatever I hold, and people, they don't hold the shares, they can still do spreads, like sell a call and buy a call higher. So a lot of the names I was selling, like tens and tens of contracts, and it's kind of a nice way to make extra profits. Do you guys do that too?
A little bit. A lot of my boys on Spaces, they do a lot more of it, but that's something I like to dip into here and there. Not my specialty, but it's just a great kind of more passive way to be making some money now. A lot of people don't like it because it's not as flashy, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not as big profits, but
Yeah.
if you get a nice little lump sum of money and you're consistent with that, you can really be bringing in some great income throughout
Yeah.
a monthly span, you know what I mean? And I just think people underestimate it so much. Even though I do the same. I love my directional trading, right? But there's a time and a place to sell options and collect that premium, and I think it's super beneficial. So
Well, and
I'm
I,
excited
yeah,
about that.
I think that's now as well, just because it's the VIX has been so high that yeah, a lot of people I know who are option guys have just been that's their whole game right now is just
Yeah.
give me a level to play against, give me a level to sell options against, and I'll certainly do that because yeah, they have a big zone there. Bought a little
Yeah.
intel. That's why I was a little distracted there. It triggered from my system, the robot. I heard.
The
I
robot.
don't, I don't know if anyone else uses interactive brokers, but it's
I
got
do.
this British guy that yells at you every time there's a trade, and he's going in my ear right now. So
Oh, nice. What are you
order
trading?
filled,
Intel,
order
you
filled.
said? Yeah, I
Yeah,
have the
bought it.
same. So annoying. Powder.
Yeah, bought a little. Yeah, I wish I could like change the voice into something a little bit more friendly, like a softer voice
Michael
or
wants
something. But
Siri voice talking to
yeah,
him.
just something a little more chill would be nice. But
Let me see.
uh,
What'd you do with Intel? You went long?
yeah, and this is here, I can bring up my chart here. This was just oh, there you go, perfect. It's just a day
Oh, you
trade
got what
kind
you
of thing,
wanted
right?
here.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
came
That
in,
was
filled the gap. So just looking to
nice.
take the other side of that kind of gap fill.
I like
Just
to
as
trade the inverse ones too. Like, do you sometimes play them like SOXS and TCA?
Yeah, yeah, I love
Yeah.
those, and then some of the individual ones. It's because the way this particular day trading bot works is that I put the symbols in that I wanted to trade, and then it looks for specific setups on intraday charts to take trades on. And yeah, if I can see, like it's potentially looking to short Coinbase later in the day, so I'll use ConL because why not, right? It's not
Why
so much.
not? Yeah.
I don't use it necessarily for the leverage necessarily. I just use it more because then I can allocate less buying power. Less buying. If I
Yeah.
can allocate less buying power, I can take more positions on. I can do that kind of stuff because I personally, especially because a robot's doing it, I'd rather take 20-day trades than one or two.
In a
If
day, does it do so fast? You have it set up?
it can,
Or
yeah. It's not so much a high frequency thing. It's just more about what's going on that day. The main premise is fading gaps. The main premise is looking for gaps that are a little bit overextended. I've got some math that they're a little bit gaps can get a little bit too wonky one way or the other. So just looking to fade them, and then using the law of larger numbers. Just instead of just doing one or two and making that your whole day, if I can spread it across 10 or 20, that ends up being a little bit better because the commissions are still fine, even though
yeah.
I know a lot of people go, oh, commissions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come on, it's the $1,
yeah,
or even less. I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
That's the minimum for sure, and that ends up being, jeez, yeah. I gotta mute this British guy. He, yeah, it ends up being a much better way to do it. And I know even those Yankees, they don't even pay commissions, but we ban that payment for order flow down here, so we have to charge the commissions anyway.
I like this chart too, Tam. If we would hold really nicely, but right now I think today is just gonna be really choppy for most names. But Tam
That's
looks pretty
the
good, about 50.
Nancy
But
Pelosi one, isn't it?
yeah, it's the is it biotech AI or healthcare AI company? But yeah, I own it in long term, and I'm looking just for a shorter term trade too, which is two different things. But here about the 50, if we hold and get some volume in, of course the volume is still low, there will be a fun long trade I'm looking into. Let me see my watch list that my scanner showed me this morning. APDL was another one. We had really good trade on Wolf actually. Did you guys? I mean, I don't trade stocks
Oh, on
like
Wolf?
this
That's
usually, but
hilarious.
oh my god, yeah.
I feel like there's a few people that always trade it. There's like you, and then there's
Yeah,
like
I
there's a few
always-
other people that kind of like when there's a move there, they'll capitalize on it. I think it's.
I
So
did.
funny.
Like here we traded it. We made a ton of money. It literally hit my resistance. And I forgot about it. And now the scanner we built, we spent 1 year building that crazy scanner. And finally it's ready. So we had this around 2:30 before earnings, we had flow that we saw, not only option flow, but all this institutional buying and stuff. So we went long. So that was my trade. It's funny. I really don't like this kind of stocks, but why not?
Yeah, why not?
Sometimes you can do it. And what's the other cheap stock? 1 second, I have to look in my Discord, guys, because I don't remember all the names.
The
It's too
cheapies.
much information all the time.
All
That's
right, there's always so many stocks.
I
Yeah,
find that's better. I
APLD.
find that the people that kind of trade more like you, where you're like, I don't even know what I traded this week. You end
I
up
don't
doing
know.
way
I don't
better
care.
than
Yeah.
because then you're not getting biased. You're not getting like I have a rule that if I ever go to like look at the fundamentals of a company, I have to exit it immediately because I'm not a fundamental trader, so it
Oh
means
yeah,
Can't
no.
do it.
I'm looking for
Hell
that
no.
confirmation bias, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, I'm down on it, but oh no, look, they're gonna save babies. I should hold on. Like it's like you're just looking for that one
don't
reason
care. Yeah.
to get in or to stay in. It's just really really bad.
You know, and was this funny interview, Mark Minevri, and he said Upstart, that was I think 2 years ago, he made so much money on that, and he didn't know what they do, and instead of like, he could have just said, it's like, why do I care? I'm a trader. Like, you don't really like care about those things if you're like quick trading, you know?
Yeah, that interview made me
Agreed.
sad because everyone was sending to me like, look at this Joker, and I'm like, that Joker
He's an amazing trader.
is an amazing trader who won I think he's won every investing competition he's ever entered. And yeah, all he had to do was to say, like, to puff his chest out and say, I have no idea what they do, and I don't care. Look at the chart.
And it would
Like,
be cool.
you
Like,
know?
he made like, what, 200% on that trade or something in a matter of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is he should just no ego, but sometimes the ego is stronger. I
Yeah,
read
well,
his
that's
books. His books are amazing.
He's probably one of the best like William O'Neill disciples to kind of come out of that, right? That kind of hyper growth type mover. Me and Jordan know Nick Drendel is in that, like, those trader lion type guys. He's like one of those guys who have these very specific patterns on growth stocks that they trade. And yeah, they do very, very well. But yeah, that interview, it just made me sad. I'm like, no, buddy, just say, I don't know what they do. I don't care what they do. Right? I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, I don't care.
You know?
And it's like it's crazy on a lot of social media. People do not understand the difference between trading and investing.
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it, huh? I can't believe it.
Really? And they like, I was trading CrowdStrike last week, which had amazing chart, like really beautiful chart, and I made a really good trade on this. They're like, but they're so overvalued, and CrowdStrike, why are you buying this? I'm like, look at the chart. Like,
I know your struggle, Lia. I know your struggle. That just goes to
look at
show
this.
too.
I mean, like, really?
Oh my gosh. It just goes to show, like,
Yeah.
all the people, even if you're in the audience and you're like, oh, I've only been at this for a few months, like, you probably know so much more than the average person that, like, would look at a chart. It's unbelievable.
382 was our entry.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Beautiful trade.
382, and
Especially
there was
'cause-
a target.
Yeah, crowd. Crowd was just, I think higher time frame, it's been kind of in this choppy area. Oh no, we got going. So you've been capitalizing. Very nice.
Yeah, but look at this
Very
guy.
nice.
This one was great.
Love to see it.
It's just this
Oh
one,
yeah, we got moving pretty good off those
Oh.
lows. We were a little choppy, but that picked up pretty quick on CrowdStrike.
Yeah, CrowdStrike went crazy yesterday.
Yeah.
And that was my chart from the week before. And yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't care what they do. Like, if I can make this kind of money just to trade it, I'm out. Like, I don't have it anymore.
Agreed.
Who cares? The only thing
If I'm not holding it for 10 years, I don't care if it's a dog food company. I just want to make some money.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people lose that very basic idea too of why are you here, right?
Yeah.
What is it that you're trying to do? And then politics get wrapped up in it, and psychology and all these different things. They just lose the idea of, I'm here to buy something at price A and then sell it at price B and then move on with my life and not worry about it at all. So yeah, I don't care if it's, I remember just buying a bunch of like coal companies and dirty energy companies over the last couple of years, and you get the people chirping at you on Twitter. It's like, oh, but it's hurting the planet. It's like, okay, make a bunch of money. If you want to do social stuff, and make a whole bunch of money in the market and then donate to whatever political party, social cause, or whatever you want to do. But the market just doesn't care about your bias. So
Agreed.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
we
can
should
get
do it.
emotional about things, but you can react on that. I'm angry a lot. I get upset. Sure, am I gonna not trade or am I gonna not do things? No, I will
You're
do
gonna take
it,
the opportunity that's there, right? And that's the biggest thing, just not letting that get in the way of, hey, like, we're here to make money and take opportunity. No matter what's happening, right? We need to do what we do best, and that's finding these opportunities, especially when, all this just creates all this volatility and all of this opportunity that's amazing for us to be able to tap into, right? So
Yeah, it was a
it's
great
good
deep
and
buying
bad.
environment too.
Yeah.
On April 7th, that's when we went heavily long and for investing for purpose, not for trade. With some tech.
I love when I was buying in the long term. Everybody was telling me not to. That's
But
when
you
I
know,
know I'm doing something right.
that's the time that you buy in the long term.
That's the
whenever
problem.
it's
Everyone
so-
wants to buy the dip, And then when the dip comes,
I want to buy
blows it.
only the nastiest days. That's why on VU I was buying. I just had these weekly lows set. It was these recent weekly lows we hit of 468.89, and we had
Let me see.
453.90.
I love wool. I have a lot of wool.
Yeah, just that. Like I just had those weekly lows put in.
Here,
I was like,
no?
you know, when we get there, I am putting some in, and we had those 5% down days, and I was just like,
Yeah,
you know what?
April
It's time.
7th.
Yeah,
that was
beautiful.
the day. I remember those days. Last year we had
Yeah.
August 5th. That was the day I was on NBC News because all the brokers just stopped working.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
August 5th, yeah. Remember
The only
that,
thing I'm
guys?
wishing right
Here.
now is I only put in about a third of my cash, and now I'm wishing I put in a lot more than a third.
Yeah.
But it was probably a smart idea to start with a third, and you know, if we get some bigger dips under these lows, then I can add more. But
Well, the
but
good part
the
is you can
thrust,
get
man.
over 4%
thrust.
on your cash right now. So
that's
it's not,
true.
it's not
But the
shabby.
thrust, Leah.
Always
know the thrust?
the thrust. Did you not hear, Leah? Were you not on Twitter last
Oh my
night?
God.
There was a breath thrust.
The,
It was just,
the breath thrust here.
Oh,
It's
really?
everywhere.
I don't know.
It's giving us some hints here.
Give me a sense. I think I slept too long. I'm a little bit slow today.
No, this little indicator that Michael's got is calling for some big upside. So, but we need to get through that 550 on the SPY and see if we can really power through that. So we're sitting back to see if that happens. And now
Well,
that
Yeah,
if
it's
we
only-
do, let's see. Then you fill the gap most likely, right? We're gonna go down
Yeah.
higher, probably to the 50 moving average, 560, I would think.
again, my biggest worry is that this is all just going to happen overnight.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
We're gonna wake up one day and he's gonna go, yeah, I got my gift basket from President Z, so I'm, everything's good now. We're all sunshine and puppies, and just we won't be able to take advantage of.
That's why I make sure I have my long-term ads in. And hey, if I miss it on the day trades or the swing trades, then that sucks for me. At least I had the shares, you know. Didn't
But I
completely
give you a
miss
good
out.
tip, which I'm not supposed to give financial advice, so I won't. But what we do, a lot of the flow and institutional flow, especially, updates after hours. And
Yeah.
then you can follow that and you can allocate money after hours, which is easy, or some
Absolutely.
brokers trade. So that's what a strategy we did last couple of weeks, often. That we buy after the close shortly, and then morning you wake up and those things are up like 4%, 5%. So that's
Yeah.
we look at that every single after hours when the market closes. That's when the scanners usually update. So like also like for example open interest, when you look at option chain, you see open interest from the day before. You do not see the open interest from today, which a lot of people also don't know. So yeah. So that's the work we do a lot when we do the analysis in our private room. We basically look at things this way. So what was the one that had insane flow this week? 1 second, I have to look again. Honestly, so
Yeah,
much
I
stuff.
for one am all in on, well, and I'm obviously very biased here as the quant that the robot trades for, but I'm all in on 24-hour markets. Give
Oh yeah.
Oh,
right.
nice. Okay, yeah. So
know,
you see, same thing.
Yeah, there's 4, I think, different exchanges that got SEC approval for 24 hours market. So it's happening. It's just
The
I
volumes.
want
How
it-
are the volumes? Lower, right?
they will
I
be,
would
yeah.
assume.
It will be over time, but there's some worrisome things for a lot of the systems I do, is right, not to get all meta, but it's like, what is a open versus what is a close at that point, right? If
Yeah.
Yeah.
every-
Is there a difference between it now, or is it all just open all the time? Like,
or is
yeah,
it just
that's
going to be like crypto
interesting.
where everyone's just kind of arbitrarily agreed on a time and said this is the close of the candles? So but yeah, I'm super excited because just you need to let them go. Just turn on the robots and just let it go. Check on it a couple times in the day, and it can just go all the time.
Are you doing any automated stuff with that, Michael, or just getting these tickers in front of your eyes and then you're actually like taking these a lot of the time?
No, I fully automated. So there's a guy that I know, and he's gonna release it soon. But he created a robot that it takes the webhook from. So basically, you can set an alert in TradingView, and it sends out a webhook, which is just like a way to communicate through the internet, and it can take that information and then trade it automatically into your interactive brokers account. So
Gotcha.
I build these indicators I back test things like 30 some odd years, and then I build these indicators for them in TradingView and just say when XYZ happens, right? A MACD cross or whatever it is on this stock, it will send calculates the profit target, stop loss, all that kind of stuff, right? And then this prop firm stuff that Jordan's got me deeply addicted to. I'm switching over to Ninja Trader because you can
Oh,
do the
okay.
same thing where you can build.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want to. Like, the one thing I always do at the end of every day, and it always feels lazy, but I think it's important to do, is you ask yourself what didn't you need to do that day? What didn't you need to be there for? And for me, it's like I'm never going to be the best at executing an order. I'm never going to be the best at hitting a button. So if I can get a robot to do that, then fine. So
Yeah.
every day it's an exercise of, can I spend more time at the gym with my kids away from the computer, and I can just and I find the more I do it, the better trader I become, because the less I am here to like
Make
I think
mistakes.
yeah, fat finger and hit a wrong
Yeah.
button and all that kind of junk, or get emotional or get cranky or whatever. It's just
Absolutely.
the robot doesn't care. It will execute the plan exactly the way I want it to. So now it's just my job to come up with the plans and build the systems and test them.
That's
I love that.
wonderful. I love that. That's my plan in the next 5 years. I'm just retired on French Riviera and have a
Yeah.
robot. Yeah.
Oh
that's
yeah.
fun.
We're drinking that Saratoga water, huh?
Yeah, with ice. This
Oh,
one was the
gosh.
one that we saw huge flow in. Actually, I was trying to look for
the
like
iShares?
IGV, yeah, iShares
Yeah.
from BlackRock, and then you go into the main stocks, and that's how you found CrowdStrike and Net and all these stocks that rallied really heavily. So
Yeah.
yeah, fun
Really good
times, fun
stuff.
times. On today's
Alright,
Friday,
cool.
so yeah.
So do
yeah.
you ever
we're good
look
to
at something
kinda-
like that and go the ETF route? Do you ever look at something like CrowdStrike and just say maybe I'll buy Hack or Bug or one of those? Because I've
one's
often thought about that. If a large component
Oh.
of an ETF is starting to get good option flows, it could just be a way to
To
take the
play the
trade
ETF.
and kind of diversify across that just in case. Because I always find for me the most annoying thing is to being right on a theme but picking the wrong stock, which I do a hilarious amount of times.
From the ETF, you mean? Oh my God,
yeah,
that
so
keeps
then-
going, this one. Good Lord. Oh, now I have FOMO.
Don't do it.
Oh, no, I won't. That's after all these years of trading, you're like, okay, I don't care. I had
Yeah, you learn to
horrible
just not
gold
care.
FOMO. Like, that was the worst.
Gold is
Yes.
oh.
I had the worst
Gold.
gold FOMO, and I wouldn't do it. I bought it like a while ago, then I sold it. I was up a little bit. So I'm like, I think it's too much now. You never
Embrace
know.
the JOMO. Embrace the joy of missing out.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't trade the futures. If I would, that's much easier. But just trading the ETFs, honestly, you wake up and it's just look at the gaps. Like I cannot swing trade
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Like you buy it and hold it from like early year, or if you don't, then I just don't see. For me personally, as a swing trader, it's really difficult to hop on this kind of a chart for a shorter term. So. Yeah, what else is doing well today? Google. Okay, yeah, Google was on the resistance. That was pretty clear. It's gonna retest here, most likely through the gap.
Yeah, a little retest. What before going lower? Is that just earnings FUD or?
Yeah, it was earnings. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like retested there. Google. Okay, cool.
What
Nice.
moving average is that on?
It's
on
50.
Google there, the 50.
50.
Yeah,
Yeah, simple. Yeah.
that's an important one. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of these things, and I think it's just a lot the market, that 550 area, right? We opened up this morning, and then we're just we're fading from it. We took a little bit of a
Stale.
run to try to 448 or 548 was the high, and then we're backing off that 550, 549, 550 level, and again, I think it's a good thing. I think I would love a week or two of just hang out, right, somewhere between 535, 536, and 545, and just chew it through this supply, and then we can rip later.
Yeah.
Again, I just hope it's not. I hope there's just not like a Saturday or Sunday tweet of, right? Yeah, we sent me a love letter. Now we're
It
great.
usually was like that this year, if you remember.
Yeah.
If it was up or down, it usually happened on Saturday or Sunday, and then you like wake up and the market is already moved 3%.
So
So
do you
yeah.
use crypto in that case, right? Do we think that Bitcoin rips if there's because it's been decoupling more than I think I've ever seen it.
Yeah,
Uh,
Well,
it's looking good.
I've been in crypto since 2016, so I was used to it being completely something else in the market. And yeah, I don't know. I'm long. I don't really trade crypto. I just buy it and hold. But
when I've
into the
talked about this,
weekend, it likes to run into weekends usually.
I don't know why somebody hasn't already made a cryptocurrency that just matches the S&P 500. Like
I know,
I was
right?
for like weekend
I've
trading and
thought
stuff,
that
just
before too.
Oh
make a token,
wow, that's
right?
smart.
During the week, all you'd have to do is get enough market makers involved to right, keep it in line and to make a spread. I just don't know how you make money off it, and that's probably one of the reasons why it hasn't happened. But
Yeah.
that opens up just the degen trading to you don't need a you don't need a 24-hour market. Then you could just trade and get a
Yeah.
Qs or SPX just tokenize. I thought the tokenization of securities would have happened a long time ago because again I worked for crypto mining, crypto trading firms in like 2016, 2017. They were talking about it then. It's like, oh, every stock is going to be tokenized and you're going to just be able to trade it wherever in the world, whenever you want. Seems like a good idea to me. I don't know
Yeah.
why people are sleeping on it.
Yeah, get the degens giving up some more money. That's
That's a
Right? You
good one, yeah,
make the
actually.
spreads wide, right? The market
yeah.
makers would get loaded making a spread on right
Yep.
Tesla coin versus Tesla stock and using options and derivatives for that. There's got to be a
Yeah,
reason, right? There's no way I'm the only one that thought about that.
No,
it's
I
a very good
agree.
idea, yeah, because then you could trade the tweets. And then we
Yeah.
never have peace and quiet.
Well,
How
again,
great.
Well, if we find a company that ever does it, Michael, I will let you know first. We
good.
will get
Get
you on that
let's
spaces ASAP.
yeah, let's start doing it. I
Yeah,
think it's a great idea. And
it
again,
is.
I'm just purely biased because the way I look at it is I've got all the systems I run have a very slight edge. So my job is to exploit that edge as much as I physically can, small enough that it never really bothers me, but just so the more trades I can put through with a 51% edge, then the better in the long run, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Absolutely. 100% agree. Well, I think we're good to wrap up with the
Yeah.
show today, crew. But
Cool.
beautiful day. I'm ready to wrap up the week. We'll see what we get the rest of the day. Hopefully, I think I'm gonna get a few good opportunities for the future side of things to wrap up the week. But either way, it's been a great week. So
Yeah.
you guys
Very
enjoy.
nice. Thank
Audience,
you.
enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the rest of the day. Trade safe, and we'll see you guys bright and early next week. So enjoy.
Bye.
Later.